Hi, ladies, and welcome to Silky's Nook. I'm your host, Silkthorne, and this is my podcast. So today's episode is just an introductory episode for those of you that don't know me. Those of you that do, this is a reintroduction episode. And also, girlies, we've got book mail. I'm so excited. So I did order this off of Vinted. Hold on, let me get this one. So I did order this off Vinted. It arrived this morning. It's ridiculously heavy. So let's just crack straight into it, shall we? I can't remember exactly what books that I've ordered, but I know there's about 15 in the package. So we can explore them together. Just briefly a little bit. Some of the studious parcel bags I've ever seen. Okay. Let's dive straight in. Okay, we'll start here. I know what the one set that's in here. However, oh, there she is. Right at the beginning. Guys, hang on, it's heavy. Guys, any guesses to what this is? As you can tell, I've not read it yet. Oh, here she is. Isn't she absolutely stunning? I love it. I love it. I love it. There's a teeny tiny little mark at the bottom of this book, but to be honest, I would say these are in immaculate condition. So we've got this book. I've not read these yet. I've seen so many people saying so many good things. I literally cannot wait to get my teeth into these books. Next, some paper. Ta-da! There's 4 books in here. We've got If We Ever Meet Again. Then we've got If the Sun Never Sets. If Love Had a Price. And finally, to complete the set, we've got If We Were Perfect. So, again, I've not read these yet. I'm really looking forward to these. I have read some of Anna's other books. The King of, I don't know what the series is called, but like the King of, so like King of Greed, King of Pride. I've only got half of that set though. So I'm still missing books. Hang on, I'm just looking at my bookcase, which is by here. I'm missing, well, I've got book 1, 2, and 3. I'm missing 4, 5, and 6. But I will get my hands on them. So I've got these as well. And then in the last or next package, my paper. This is beautifully packaged. There's plenty of protection. Okay, next we've got another set. The Spanish Love Deception by Eleanor Armas. Then we've got The American Roommate Experiment. We've got The Long Game. And then we've got The Fiancé Dilemma. These are in not as great condition. There's a few dents in the spine and there's some like wear and tear, should we say. It's not that bad of damage, but they were advertised as like perfect. So a little bit annoyed about that, but it's nothing too major. And then I think there's something, there is more. There is more. Hold on. These are the last books. Of course, these are the last books. So in here we've got One of the Girls by Lucy Clark. Again, I'm not very happy with this. The condition of this book is terrible, to be honest. Like all along the top there is peeling and the bottom there as well. Regardless, I'm still very excited to read this book. And then finally, I can't remember what this is. What's the last one? Oh yes, we've got Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. I've not read this either, but I've seen this online and loads of people have said good things about it. So this one is in a bit better quality. But yes, that was my Vinted book haul. I think there's 15 books I ordered from one person, which I'm very grateful for because she did do me a bundle deal, so I can't complain too much, even though some of the books were, in not that great of quality. Also, today, I did go to Waterstones. Yes, I know. and I picked up this adorable, adorable bookmark here. So it says, "Grow your own way." And there's a cute little mushroom on there, and it's absolutely adorable. And I've been looking at this the last 3 or 4 times that I've been in there, but I've just not bought it. Today I caved and I bought it. So that's going to be in the drawer in my bookshelf. And then, because I've been seeing this book everywhere, and I've been wanting to read it just out of curiosity, but it's been so expensive everywhere. Found it in Waterstones, half price. They let them pay. So I think it cost me £11, which sounds a lot, but it is hardback. It's not paperback. I didn't really want the paperback one. But yeah, it's supposed to be, how to divide your time and energy better and to be less stressed. And if anyone knows me, you know that I am consistently stressed no matter what I do in life. So I thought this book would be a good way to maybe help me slow down just a little bit and, sort of try and get my life back on track at a slower pace. So that is the whole haul. So now for the fun part, the getting to know me. So I've always been into reading since I was a child. So I remember literally when I was in primary school, we used to have this thing called Golden Times on Fridays. So for the last hour of school, we would get to play with toys or whatever we wanted on a Friday, as long as the class had been good. Now, me, I didn't bring in any toys. I didn't want to play with the toys. What was I doing? I was sitting over in the corner in the library and I was reading the books. And every Friday, I would read a different book. And there was all different types of books there. Obviously, as a school, as you can imagine, they've got all sorts. I then finished every single book that was in that library in my classroom. So what did I do? I went down to the communal library, and guess which book I picked out to read? If you said a storybook or a picture book, you were wrong. I picked out the World Atlas, and I think it was back then the 9th edition. Oxford. It was an Oxford book. The World Atlas. That is exactly what I picked out. It was about this thick, and I kept it in the classroom, and I asked the teacher if we could keep it in our library, and she said yes. She did look at me a bit funny though, to be fair, because why is a 9-year-old trying to read the Atlas for fun? Anyway, regardless, every Friday then I would read it, just look at the world map basically, and learn the names of all the countries, how to pronounce them, where they were, what they were next to. And that was my sort of fun time. So that's kind of what got me into reading. But also then after that, so obviously in primary school, you would do reading, stage 1, stage 2, whatever. I don't know what it's called now, but that's what it was. I had read all of the books that were in the school syllabus by the time I was 9 or 8, sorry, maybe. I still had another year and a half in school to go. So I had finished all the books that we were supposed to read. Plus more, I'd also started the year 7 books. So the first year of high school, I'd started those books. So in the end, I had to just bring books from home because there was nothing for the teachers to give me. So that's really what sort of kicked me off my love for reading. I didn't really have a particular genre at the time. It was a bit of everything. I do remember, however, when I was in year 6, my last year of primary school, my teacher, he would read to us. I can't remember why, but he would just randomly, if we were good or something, I don't know, he would read us this book. And he would read 1 or 2 chapters maybe, per day. And it was Skullduggery Pleasant. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of that, but if you have, then you know what I'm about to say. If you haven't, you need to get to know. Skullduggery Pleasant, oh my God, that sent me into a spiral. I had to finish the book. I had to have the series. I can't even put into words how much that sent me. And I was like, yes, I need to finish this. Because obviously, remember, he was reading 2 chapters per week. That wasn't, for my little brain, for my little 9-year-old brain, that was not enough for me. So I went to the library because obviously I had a library card. And I found, because there were a few other ones in the library, I found all the Skullduggery Pleasant books I could find. And I took them out, including the first one that my teacher was reading. So by the time that we went back to the next lesson the next week with him when he read, I'd already finished the book. I knew what he was going to say. Did I enjoy the story still? Yes, I did. But then, it just became my mission to read the rest of the books. And then I made the mistake of Googling it, and I found out there was this whole series, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I remember the one book, I think by the time I got my hands on it, I was about 13 maybe, and it was like this. And to me, that's like the biggest book I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm pretty sure it was only about 500 pages, which to me now is nothing. But my little 14-year-old self, I was like, oh my God, this is the biggest book I've ever read. And yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed that series. I would read it again, actually. My mum did sell my books after I read it because it was too much clutter in the house. So unfortunately, I don't have that collection anymore. However, I'm probably definitely going to try and buy that now as an adult, rebuy it for myself. Whether I reread it or if it sits on the shelf, who knows? But we'll soon find out. But yes, so that was after the Atlas. That was the main thing for me for reading. And then I just went to the library all the time. And especially like in primary school, mostly the 6 weeks holidays, my local library would do, I don't know if the other libraries did, they would do like this 6 week reading challenge because obviously you're off school, so you're not really learning stuff. And it was like, oh, read one book per week and you got like a sticker or whatever. I was reading like 6 books per week because obviously as a child they were like nothing and whatever. But I was reading like 6 books per week. The librarian was literally looking at me like, are you actually reading these? And my mum was like, yes, she reads them to me every night. So yeah, that was another thing that helped me because then at the end you'd get like a little medal and like stickers and different kinds of things. So it was like really fun, like incentive to help kids, like to try and get kids to read. But that was definitely one of the things that got me into reading as well. And then just, yeah, I did get a Kindle off my auntie when I was about, how old was I? Maybe 12, 11, 12. I've still got it actually, it's over there somewhere. I had that, and that's what sort of made me branch out into like different genres. Obviously, I was still really young, so I wasn't really reading anything like gory or like spicy or whatever. But yeah, I got into reading on my Kindle. I really enjoyed that, and then I did when I became about 16. I think I sort of fell out of love with reading, if that makes sense. So like, I was still reading, just not a lot. And then I started college. You know, I had my first job. Then I got my first boyfriend at 17. So like I didn't really like have time for reading. Also, I was kind of bullied by said ex-boyfriend about reading, being called a nerd, but if only he could see my home library now. Anyway, so yeah, that kind of put me off reading as well. And then when I was about, how old was I? So we split up when I was 20. So maybe just after that, I went shopping with my mum, and I remember I seen this book and I was like, oh, this looks really cool. Picked it up. Obviously, I fell in love with it, read the book, found out it was a series. I think it was like, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a 6 book series. So then I went on the mission to find the 6 books, read all of those, thoroughly enjoyed it. And then by the time I was 21, I was full on like back into my reading era. Again, still nothing too spicy because I didn't really, not that I didn't really know it existed. I knew it existed, but like, I didn't know it existed. I didn't know how good it could be. Like I said, if you could see my bookshelf now. But yeah, I didn't really know what I wanted to read. Like I didn't have a specific genre. I was still just, for me back then, it was more like, if the cover looked nice, I would read it. Or if I liked the sound of the blurb, I would read it. And then I think it wasn't until then I started sort of about a year into the relationship with my partner now, that I sort of mentioned about like wanting to get back into reading and different kinds of things. So he asked me what I like to read, and I was like, well, I kind of like everything, whatever. And then, excuse me, the next time I saw him, then he had like 3 books, and he was like, oh, I saw these, and I thought you might like them, so I got them for you. And I still have them now to this day, and yeah, they're still in the cupboard somewhere. I haven't pulled them out yet, as we haven't long moved, so they're not on my bookshelf yet. But I will treasure those books forever, and I know for a fact now he is loving but also regretting buying me those books, as I now have probably nearly 100 books that he has to see dotted around the house most days. However, I know he loves that I'm enjoying my hobby, and I love him for helping me get back into my hobby. But yeah, that's kind of the story of where we are now. Oh, and then, of course, my sort of spicy journey, should we say? I don't know how else to word it. My spicy journey obviously started with this book. Hold on, let me just grab it from my shelf. It obviously started with this book, and if you guessed Lights Out, then you are correct. This is the book that got me into spicy, should we say. or as they call it, dark romance. So this book was the first book I read. I got it off Amazon actually because I'd seen it all over my TikTok. All over TikTok, it was just being pushed all over TikTok. And I thought, okay, it looks quite cool. Obviously, I couldn't see the blurb because it was a TikTok. They only showed the front, and like there was like 1 or 2 pages that had been shown. So I got it, and I read it, and of course, I loved it. And then that is where we spiraled. And now I would show you, but I haven't finished putting out all my books. And obviously, there's the big pile in front of me that I just opened. I also have another parcel on the way. Don't tell my boyfriend. Of a few more books, and there's some in the cupboard that I still haven't sorted out. But now that's how we ended up. Here we are. Admittedly, they're not all spicy. Some of them are just romance, maybe tame, whatever you want to say. But I have also got a few ones that are this kind of spice level. And of course, I have also got Caught Up, the second one, which I have read and loved. I am going to be doing an episode on both of these books, so stay tuned for that one. It will probably be the next episode, as these were the 2 books that got me into spicy. So there is also a third one coming out, which I cannot wait for. I've got my eyes peeled and I'm waiting for it to drop so I can get it. I absolutely cannot wait. I think I know what it's going to be about, but I'm not obviously going to say in case I might be wrong because I don't actually know. It's just me trying to guess. But yes, my second episode will 100% be on those 2 books there, plus the potential of the third that is coming out. So that is kind of it for me. I don't really have anything else to talk about myself as an introduction. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me ramble about how I read an atlas when I was 9 for fun. But yes, this has been Silky's Book Nook, and if you guys enjoyed, please do drop me a follow and a like, and stay tuned for the next episode next week. Take care, guys.